Well, hello everyone, and I want to thank you for joining me today. I have a topic that I think is front and center for a lot of our Skin Classic providers and also those that are inquiring about Skin Classic treatments. You might be one of those estheticians, skincare professionals, doctors, nurses that already has a Skin Classic, has been trained, and you still have questions about healing, about what to do afterwards. Besides our aftercare, I want to show you today exactly what I do. And I think it really helps in the whole process. And you might even be someone who wants a procedure, but you're not too sure, but you've heard a lot about it from my channel. So I'm going to give you all those details too. And for those of you who don't know who I am, or maybe you just popped on to my RN Faces Facebook page, I'm Stephanie Halvick. I'm a registered nurse, owner of RN Faces here in Cape Charles, where I provide treatments for clients, but I also am the owner of the Skin Classic, which we distribute around the world and provide training for you and your office, your med spa, your facility. So I like to keep you up to date, give you top of the mind awareness on what's going on with the Skin Classic, and basically gear my trainings to what I've been listening to this week, the chatter that's come across my messenger. People have questions. So I want to get all of those questions answered as best I can today. And if you are watching, let me know in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up because I will have some prizes to give away at the end of the broadcast. So I would need to know who I would be giving them to. If you're on my RN Faces Facebook page, that's perfect. But you might be watching at YouTube, LinkedIn, or a private group, Instagram. But make sure you hop on my Facebook page so that you can get in on the giveaways. Let me get started. And oh, yeah, I see people popping in. Thank you. Thank you. And okay, so Skin Classic healing secrets. Well, there really is no secret. I don't keep secrets from you guys, but they're just little like ninja tips that I like to let you get in on. So, okay, so if you are, let me see about getting my screen shrunk up. There we go. Don't need me. So there might be out there in the audience right now, you may have clients that you treat, right? And they call you up the next day and they're like, oh my God, is this normal? Well, if you are getting those phone calls, there's a few things that maybe you're not doing. So we're going to go over a couple of things, but we have all been there. If you have a Skin Classic and you've done bigger jobs, not just one or two or three things, then you're going to get clients like this. And so you need to know how to handle it. But I want you to handle it on the front side first, not the back side. The backside is where all the anxiety comes into play. So when you're consulting with your client, like just this client, I am going to whip out my before and after book. And the reason I do that, this is the perfect book for a consultation. For instance, if a client is coming in for capillaries, I'm going to turn to this page and I'm going to say, this is a before picture. This is immediately after. They look like they're gone. But in the healing process, they're going to get darker looking. So don't be surprised when you wake up and they're like that. But you've got something good to look forward to, the healed process. So this is very important. And I want you to do this to mitigate clients calling you. And of course, I show this to my clients before I treat them, and I can still get those calls. So you need to know how to handle those. But there's ways that we can actually make the treatment and the healing go even better. And oh, hey guys, hey everybody, and Denise is in. Awesome. Oh, that's great. Hey, everybody. Wow. Okay, great. I have lots of names here. I'm going to be able to pick from a lot, but make sure in the comments you either give me a thumbs up, give me a heart, whatever, or just say, hey, I'm here from Tennessee. And this way I'll be able to pick some winners. So I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be winning today. But let's do this first. Okay, the home care is very important. So you do not want to just hand your client the aftercare and let them go on their way. Either at the consultation, I tell them what they need to do. And even while maybe they're under the LED for 5 minutes after the treatment, I go over the aftercare once again, as well as send them an electronic um, care sheet. So I'm going to let them know that they are going to be red, and every single place that we treat is going to be crusty. But we can make those crusts a little smaller, and I'll tell you all about that. You're going to make sure they don't pick or scratch because it can removing that crust can maybe make hyperpigmentation or even scarring. If your clients pick to the point of bleeding, they are terrible skin classic clients. You do not want to use them, but if they accidentally do it, anytime you bleed, you are in a deeper part of the skin that can be compromised and maybe lay down some scar tissue. Very, very rare, but you must have the correct client. So if the area is still red later on in the day, or if you're uncomfortable, which I don't have anybody that ever has to use a baggie of frozen peas, but there are people that use that modality at their home because of other procedures. So I let them know if they do need to, it works for 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. I don't want to leave it on any longer because those peas get wet and soggy, in the bag, but I don't want that excess moisture on their skin. They're going to keep their skin clean and dry. They can wear makeup later in the day, but the biggest problem is they don't want to be rough taking it off. So some clients are coming to us because their irregularities are pretty easy to see. So they wear a cover up that's pretty um, opaque and very hard to get off. So they wind up having to really rub it off. So only something that is easily taken off can they wear. Otherwise, they must wait until the crusts come off. They always have to wear sunblock. You're going to avoid sunlight that day. Wear a hat. It's not as caustic to the skin as like a microderm, microneedling kind of a thing. So sunblock and a good hat. You want to pat dry. Never use the terry cloth on the face, rubbing it. And I do tell my clients this, that if we've treated a lot like that photo before, I'll go ahead and tell them to wash the face at the vanity and pat dry and then shower with your back to the water so that you don't get those crusts soaked. And when they become soaked, then they might slough off too quick. And that is something that we don't want to have happen because it is our nature's band-aid. So you can see here that if this client didn't know exactly what was expected of them and or what we expected, they might be a little nervous. This is a before and after treatment. Most of these were keratosis, and this was a 5-day picture that her son sent to me. She was thrilled because she looks great. Look at that, the before and the after, but she had very dark crusts for about 5 to 7, and that was probably about 8 days when she was totally sloughed. But that wasn't a problem for me. She actually was a model in one of our trainings in New York City, and she was thrilled, and so was her son, who she was wanting to have this treatment for years. Finally got it, and she's happy. But those are the things that can kind of put your stomach into a knot. If a client were to send a picture to you, a selfie, and you saw that, it's perfectly normal. We need to let our clients know that it's normal, and we're going to treat it like any other skin treatment. It's not a burn, so we're not treating this as a burn. There will be no ointments, no salves, none of that. Just good, healthy skincare should be used during this process. And anytime you guys have a question, go ahead in the chat box and let me know. We already discussed this nice man, which was in the book, and we want to make sure that that we actually give our clients an idea of what they're going to look like so that they don't they're not surprised, they're not upset, they're all going to be expecting what they see in the mirror that morning. So Okay, guys. Oh, great. Wow, lots of people popping in. Thank you. You know why? Because it's kind of a good topic. We really need to talk about this. And so, if you're a client out there preparing for a skin classic treatment, this is what you can expect. Now, one of my secret weapons is the F6. And this is one of my giveaways. And the F6 is crucial in creating a smaller crust. I have another slide coming up where you'll definitely see the different size of it. But I happen to have my handy dandy Skin Classic right here. And this is our F6, and it's flexible. It can bend if you wanted to bend it. There's no need to bend it. Or if it's bent, when you pop it out of you can just straighten it out. But it's like a filament. It's very, very thin. So everything we treat gets a little crust. So if you treated something with an F6, it's going to get a tiny crust. If you treat something with the F12, which is double the size, but still very delicate, you will get double the size of a crust. So if you're following my logic, you're going to know that maybe I'm going to use my F6 on a lot of other irregularities that normally the laminated guide says F12. Remember, everything is size specific. If I had a big skin tag, I'm not whipping out my F6. I would have to use my F12 or even better, my tag probe. So size matters, and these are tiny and will leave your client with a smaller crust. So okay. Healing can take different ways of looking. So we all out here treat a lot of sebaceous hyperplasia. Like those first couple photos, we could have sebaceous hyperplasia all over the face. And when sebaceous hyperplasia is treated, there's no pigment involved. So they don't turn like little brown spots or crusty, they turn a red crust. So that doesn't mean that they've bled or anything like that. It's just because there's no pigment and it is reacting with the oil. So in this photo, you will see a progression, and that again is in our book. So if you're treating a sebaceous hyperplasia client, it really behooves you to go to that page and let them know. Let them see the great before and afters, but also let them see that, wow, okay, that's really red. Am I prepared to do this? If your client is a little reluctant and they still want the treatment, remember, there's ways to go about these treatments. You can, if the treatment was going to say cost $300 based on the amount of irregularities you were treating, then you may say to this nice client, if they were a little apprehensive, do you know what? Let's just do $100 worth today and just do the sides of the face, maybe the very top of the forehead. And this way, when you pass by your mirror, you'll have to turn to see the red crusts, and they won't bother you as much as they would in the front. And if that doesn't seem to bother you this week, then let's go ahead and finish up the procedure and then do the other 200 worth. So there's ways so that you don't feel like, oh, I don't think the client's going to want to do this. You can break it up, but show them these pictures because it's really, you really need to exactly let them know. I've heard people say from time to time, "Oh, this is going to be great. You're going to it'd be like it never happened." Well, that's not true because you're going to have these crusts. So you have to manage this for your clients. And that might look like breaking it up in different treatments or just a few every time that maybe they're having a facial, that type of thing. But you want to be very careful in over promising your clients. Okay, so I think, yeah, let me see what I got here. So here, I have this, I'm going to post this on my page, because today's Monday, tomorrow's Tuesday. So you can make your own telangiectasia Tuesday and let your clients know what you can do with that great F6 probe. So this will be on my business page here. You'll be able to download it, click the link, however you like to share it. You're more than welcome. So, this will maybe invigorate your practice this week with things that you can do with the F6 probe and your Skin Classic. Okay. So, this is the size difference between the F6 and the F12. And I'm using my handy dandy dermoscope to do this, or derm light to do it. So you can actually see it's double the size. So reach for that F6 when you have, say, some flat hyperpigmentation, even on the hands. Grab that F6 and tap with that instead of the 12, and you may spare a little bit more of the epidermis, and I'll show you kind of what I mean. Now, these sunspots were done by Melissa. She's one of our awesome Skin Classic trainers in Clarksville, Tennessee. Hello, Melissa, if you're out there. And look at these tiny little flat hyperpigmented areas. She did a fabulous job cleaning those up, and she cleaned those up with her F6. Because as we tap and we go down, tap, 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 you can, we're not dragging it. That's the one reason why. And I know there are other manufacturers or trainers that may take that filament and scratch the brown one way and scratch it the other. I don't feel like I want that entire spot, no matter how small it is or big it is, completely having that electrodessication drawn on it, because as I tap, 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 I'm not right on top of each tap. I'm not separating it too far, but just right, so that there's always a little bit of epidermis in between my taps. It will all flake off, but it helps the healing process. And the way to do that is with that filament, but don't drag it. And if you are using another device where you were taught that, if you love it, you're getting away with it, great. But if you feel like maybe they're not healing as quick or they're redder for a long time, try a little bit of tapping with the F6 so you can spare a little bit more of that epidermis. This comes from Michelle in Arizona. She's awesome. And she did this treatment in a few treatments. So she sat her client down and she did just the outside of that hyperpigmentation. She wanted to see what the client would look like in a month to 6 weeks. When the client came back, it looked fabulous. So she went ahead and did a few more treatments. And she did it with the F6. And if you can see close enough, if you can blow it up or if you can see closely, some of that hyperpigmentation has more of a tan center. So that skin color is the normal skin color. That is something you will not tap. You're not going to tap that whole thing like it's a full brown spot. You're going to only tap the things that are brown. This way, it spares even more epidermis, and the client's left with even less of a crust while they're healing. Let's see. And we love to treat other irregularities with it too. I think what's good is remembering about the size. Milia comes in all size and shapes. So does skin tags. If somebody's got a neck full of tiny skin tags, you can certainly use your F6 to make quick work of it and to be even more specific, not trying to get, like, when you get under a skin tag, maybe you don't want to hit the virgin skin, and this may be a better fit. But I want to show you some milia treated with the Skin Classic. Now, if you're in a state where you can't use lancets, this is probably not the technique for you. You can just touch the very top of your milia. It will dry it out. But we did it this way so that you can see different ways to treat. And I just had some of my milia treated just like this at Vogue Lash Over in Virginia Beach, which I love this technique, but there are more than lots of ways to skin a cat, but this is what I like to do. So we're actually inserting with our foot on the pedal
Hand up,
at the intensity of
readjust your
20, which is
stretch.
on your laminated
How you doing,
guide,
Colleen? It
and it
hurts.
will get that direct high frequency into the milia to help dry it up even quicker. And even though this is such a tiny probe, these are tiny milia, this client had this was a training I did in Idaho with Lindsay, and she did fabulous. This was her first large milia treatment, and look at her go. She's really her over the skin, a nice stretch.
Remember that your
She's just
PowerPoint
inserting a
will be
tiny bit. You can
beautiful.
see
So see your
how
thumbs
that
all the
blossoms
way up
up
there.
a little
So
bit.
now if you want to work
So
up
that's
close to the
what you would
eye,
expect.
pick
We're
this up,
not removing, we're
really
not
pull down, and just kind of pull back.
extracting any of
There you
these.
go.
There's no need. It will dry up, and as the crust falls away, so does any of that
Large
sebum.
elbow
It
on your
really
bag, a
is a
little bit
great way
lower.
to
Good.
treat sebum and
Should we hit
very,
it again?
very
Sure.
small footprint when it comes to a crust because
Mm-hmm.
we're only touching once. So here it's really important to remember this.
A little up
When you're
closer to the
treating
eye
milia,
there.
whether it's with the F6 or an F12, you want to touch. We only want to do one touch. We don't want to tap, 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 tap a milia because the more times you tap, the more crusts you will get. And that will just mean one bigger crust. So, but again, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but you might have a little bit more healing time. So get the milia and just touch it once and done, or insert once and done. Don't tap those things. They will tend to get a larger crust. Oh, hello. Okay. Let me get moving here. And if you do have any questions, feel free in the chat box to go ahead. Where am I? Okay. Okay, great. And okay, everybody, I'm just looking for any good questions there. Nope, all good in the hood. So, okay. So, on to the next. Okay. So, Wendy Lynn just did a lot of DPN under this nice gal's eyes. Wendy is an awesome skin classic trainer for us as well. And she used her F6 on 25 and she was thrilled. So you can see she looks a little red, but after the treatment, and we'll have to get her after picture. I bet it's in our group, Thermolysis Skincare for Estheticians. So after the broadcast, if you want to hop over and look up Wendy Lind, you'll probably see that great after picture. Uh, okay, let's see here. So this was a nice client of mine, and she had tiny little DPN in her under her eyebrow, above her eyebrow, and I used the F6 because it was the perfect size. And if they're tiny to begin with, I still want them to remain tiny. And but if I really don't want to use the F6. F12 was just a little too big for that. So when you're looking at your jobs that you're going to do, just think about the size of it before you actually open your probe. I know our laminated guide would say F12 for the DPN or fibroma or a small keratosis, but I chose a F6. Okay, so another thing you can start thinking about when you're working with your clients is if you're doing a big job, you've seen some big job pictures, the healing is very important. You know, you did your best here in the office. and you selected your client appropriately, you were on the lookout for any contraindications, or if the client threw up any red flags like, I'm going water skiing all this weekend, well, that would, make my client not a candidate for sure. So you get through all of that, you do the treatment. There are a few things that I do that I think you should do too. Now, I use Definage here in the office. It's got what's called defensins in it. It's the only skincare line out there with it. You can go to my website and learn about it, but I'm not here to sell it. I'm here to tell you that when I do a skin classic treatment, a bigger treatment, especially on a newer client, I always include this 24-hour starter kit, which it's not just 24 hours, it lasts about 5 to 7 days. So this way I know they're working and with their skin with something that I know is not going to be harmful. So when you find out what they're using, if they're already using your great skincare line, that's perfect. But if they're not, you want to shy away from just letting them use anything, because what's used after is very important. We don't want anything harsh or caustic. Of course, you know what the parameters are on the aftercare form. So think of something in your line that you can easily put together for them. If you need to embed it into the price of the Skin Classic, do so. Don't sell it, embed it. This way, you know they're using good skincare. Because if they were to call and they had an incident, at least you know that they have good skincare. You don't have to guess what did they really use, anything like that. So make sure that you embed your aftercare product into the procedure. And let's see, there's other things that I also embed because I think it's important when you're doing these kinds of treatments for people. They're not run of the mill aesthetic procedure. These are really great medical aesthetic procedures. They're going to make a big difference in their skin. So let's make sure we do everything in our power to make sure that they get the best results. And so we read them the aftercare. We make sure they understand it. We make sure they're going to be able to adhere to it. We give them that sheet. We incorporate good skincare into their regime for the week. In my office, I love to use the Illuminate Deep Red LED. I I know that it starts the healing process. So, most of the procedures in my office entail a little bit of micro traumas to the skin. So, the deep red LED is perfect for that, to start those cells healing quicker. The deep red, especially at like 660 nanometer, you can recharge those cells. It's actually like caffeine. It helps reduplicate, regenerate the cells. Perfect timing for a treatment like the Skin Classic or Dermafrac or whatever. Or like you saw me earlier today, I did a quick buff and glow. I use my little wands here. They're like Dermafrac files, and I just buff my skin, a little definage, get under the hood for 5 minutes in between clients, before clients. So, and it's only 5 minutes. So, of course, I embed those types of treatments into the Skin Classic, because the Skin Classic is an objective price point. It depends on how many the clients have, irregularities that you're treating, maybe the area of the country you're treating. So you can embed these processes without upcharging them for your client, because these are the best ways to treat with the Skin Classic. And I want everything to go as smoothly as possible. So that's what I would finish off with. And if you have questions, I wanted to make this as quick as I could. And let me see here. Okay. You're very new at this, Carmen. Okay, trying to learn more. Well, I hope that I help you do that. If you're hopefully you're in our group. If you are in my group, Thermolysis Skincare for Estheticians, I'll have this available in replay as well as my Skin Classic Masterclass. And if anybody needs to, or maybe you're new to my channel and you want to, let me see here, and you want to connect with me on social media, there are some of my social media links that I would love to see you on, and of course, TikTok. So if there's no questions, then I have a few giveaways to do here. So if you're watching and say you do not own a Skin Classic, then the F6s aren't going to do you any good. So when I pick your name, I'm going to scroll, and when I call your name, then you can private message me exactly this, your name and address. And if you wanted the 24-hour from Definage, or you want the F6, this is the probes that we've been talking about today. So you can let me know which one that you want for your giveaway gift. So let me do this. Let me get over here so I can. And if you haven't messaged or sent anything in the comment, I see a lot of you are on, but you didn't let me know where you're from. I'll give you another minute. If you want to get in the comments, let me know where you're watching from, and then I'll be able to go ahead and pick a winner. And I'm going to do that right here. Let me see. Okay, so if you're all still watching, okay, I am going to scroll. Now I'm scrolling up, I'm scrolling down, and I'm going to pick Jerry Sue. Oh my gosh. Okay. Jerry Sue Peaks. Jerry, we haven't seen you in quite a while, but I'm glad that you showed up today. That's pretty awesome. So, Jerry, private message me name and address to send this off to my assistant so she can get it in the mail for you, and what you would like, the Definage or the F12. And let me do one more here. Scroll. Kara Stribling. Hey, hi. I think I just saw you not too long ago. Okay, Kara, same drill for you. Name, address, and what you would prefer as your gift, and we'll get that off in the mail. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them now. Otherwise, I am going to let you all go and have a fantastic day, and I will see you on the next time. See you, everybody. Bye.